Good evening, folks. I'll read off our video disclaimer first off. This disclaimer is to inform all participants that this meeting conducted in person and via Zoom will be recorded for record-keeping purposes. By participating in the meeting, you consent that the recording may contain, one, your video stream, including images of yourself, two, your audio streams, to contribute. Anyone attending the meeting may have asked if they have
I am the host now, Sarah Cook.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh. What's going to happen, Amy?
I think we're going to have to go out and let them go back in with them. I think they froze. Did you freeze or did?
No, no, I didn't freeze. I thought I was freezing, but then I lost them and then you were here. I was just typing until you were like, hello.
Okay, I'm closing.
All right, bye.
Bye.
And we're recording. Quick action. Good job. Sorry, folks. We had a technical glitch. Amy, can you hear us okay now? Amy and Sarah? Okay. Sorry about that. It just knocked us out of our session for some reason. You didn't miss anything while you were gone. No worries. We're just carrying on with the minutes. Council Township of Armour approved the minutes of the regular council meeting held on May 26, 2026 as circulated. If I can get a mover, Rod, seconder, Dorsey. Any errors, omissions, or edits? All those in favor? Carried. We're off to the races. Do we have any declarations of pecuniary interest and general nature thereof based on tonight's agenda? Okay. So we have one delegation with two topics tonight. Dave Creaser is unable to make it because he's called out on dust suppression duty tonight, so he's not going to be able to. The reports in the agenda package, but Dave won't be here. So Amy, it is over to you for the waste management and CEMC updates.
Good evening, folks.
Good evening.
So I have finally gotten around to scheduling a meeting for the waste committee. We're going to get together and review what we've got for assets and infrastructure and maybe put together a plan for when to replace and what to replace kind of thing. That's next week. Then DM Wills, our new engineer, they were out to the site. They talked about the aquatic plants with me, which we actually planted, but they are what other municipalities are pulling out alongside of the road, those pragmites, which are invasive species. So we might look at that, but they are quite healthy in my landfill, and I don't see them spreading off the property. I see the bulrushes spreading more than anything. So what I really want to talk about is the tire program, which is failing miserably to the point where we are not moving our tires. We have not moved tires since last October. And the pile that we have there now is starting to concern us for impeding operations, as well as what could probably be a fire code concern if it was anywhere else on the property. It is somewhere that is easy to get to. However, as of January 2025, that was when the problem started. The province eliminated or reduced collection targets. A lot of facilities have closed, the processing facilities, because the haulers are not hauling because they're not getting paid by the pros. So I should have brought with me a resolution for council to say, hey, let's stop accepting tires, but perhaps that's maybe a discussion for this evening as to whether we should pray that the spring tire change is over and probably look at closing the gates on tires. 7 days ago, the province was saying that they're looking to amend those targets, but when will it happen and how quickly will we clear backlogs in the province? It's going to be a long time. So that's my spiel on tires. If anyone had any comments or questions?
So Amy, I saw that, I think it's Sudbury and there's one location down Southern Ontario. They're massive, like their sites are massive. Are they full now? Like, are they closing their doors as well to anything coming in?
To the point that some are being charged for the amount of tires they have on site, but the pros aren't being charged for not providing a good system.
No.
So that's what needs to change. So I want to chat with some of my waste colleagues out in the world there and see what resolutions they might be taking to their councils, and I'll come back at probably maybe the end of June or early the 1st of July meeting with that one.
Any other
My
questions?
other concern is when we stop accepting tires. I think there's a few councillors sitting at that table that will remember the pile between Armour and Kearney prior to tire takeover in 2009.
Yeah, we ended up with a heck of a mess.
Right.
Cost us a fortune to pull them back up one because they were way down the gully. Yeah, they just get thrown everywhere.
Yeah.
Is there something, I mean, should councils, not just our council, should all the councils be pestering somebody like to be doing, like to start speeding this along?
Yeah, and that's what I want to come back to with council is a resolution to say we're the first ones, because not all municipalities accept tires at their facilities either. So this isn't just affecting municipalities, it's affecting garages, because like Pat brings us his tires, and when we stop accepting tires, he's going to have a problem at his new facility. Not that this is not his tire season. And he's asked me that if anything happens, because they're all well aware of what's going on in the province. So he's already said to me, hey, if this is coming down the pipes and you're going to shut it down, please let me know. So this is the window for Pat to try to figure out what to do for the fall switch kind of thing. Or anyone else. I don't get them from anyone else. They're usually private. So
Soon they end up in the ditches.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just chuck them, right?
Yeah, I think we need to be lobbying the province
Okay.
to get that legislation changed.
So you'll have a suggested resolution for the next meeting, Amy?
I will bring that back.
Okay.
And then just some gate information for everyone there. And that was about it. That was all. Other than some small equipment issues that we're addressing and a little cleanup that we're doing while we're addressing equipment issues. So in case anyone's wondering why there's bulldozer floating around there.
Yeah. Any other questions for you? Go ahead, Ron.
So you're meeting next week. Unfortunately, I'm working in Baysville and I'm driving with somebody. So it's, as much as I'd like to be there, I don't think I will be.
Okay.
Unless you say, no, it's important that I was there, then I would make whole arrangements differently, but.
Well, the other thing we could do is you and I could get together one Tuesday before or a Wednesday or something after work that works for you. and I'll go
One
through
day-
my spiel with you. And
One
then
day
you'll be
this
ready
week.
for the next meeting.
One day this week, I'll track you down.
Thursday and Friday, I'm out. I'm actually, I scored a spot in the emergency information officer seat in Huntsville. So I
Oh.
want to take that training for emergency management. Sorry.
Well, then I'll try tomorrow afternoon.
Okay, let me know.
All right. We'll do it.
Thanks, Rob. Any other questions for Amy on the waste management side? Okay, on to your CEMC report. And we do
Yeah,
have a
so again, just trying to get back to something I started a while ago in April. My emergency management program committee minutes, sorry. For the most part, I don't expect me to read it word for word. I hope you've read through it. I know you've been reading a lot of emergency management, and I think there's even some more down further on the agenda tonight. So from our program committee, we have 4 recommendations for the CEMC to follow up on, and those are the ones I would be looking for. Unless there was any other questions on the minutes, I would just look for a resolution to direct count our staff, and away we go.
Okay, we do have the resolution here for the CEMC. Actually, since you're here, since you mentioned that, Amy, do you want us to pull that item on the agenda up so we can discuss it while you're here on the flood response?
I chatted with Dave about it. Unless council has questions for me, I can stay or pull it up if you prefer. That's what I would prefer.
Yeah, well, I'm not going to make you stay till that long. So any objections to moving item 30 up to right after the Dave Creaser report? Okay, so just a note that we'll make an agenda adjustment there and move item 30 after item 5. Sorry, Amy. So I'll read in this resolution. I just didn't want you to drop off before I had a chance to ask you that. Okay, Council of Township of Armour hereby acknowledges receipt of the minutes of the Emergency Management Program Committee meeting held on April 8th, 2026, and that the CEMC be directed to implement the recommendations as outlined in the minutes. As 1, discuss the 2026 exercise with field officer testing the virtual operations center. 2, schedule Red Cross training for arena and community center staff. 3, complete and review the McMurrick Monteith Reception Center plan. And 4, schedule a follow-up meeting for the EMPC. Dorothy. Seconder, Wendy. All those in favor? And that's carried.
So on that note, I have a couple of highlights from those minutes. The 2026 exercise, Armour Township is actually one of 4 that can request a substitution because of the flood that they had this year, much like we did in 2019. So it's up to the Emergency Management Program Committee and to decide whether we will do an exercise or whether you want me to do the paperwork for a request for substitution. So that can come later, or that we can discuss that at that meeting.
Okay. And that would meaning that we use the flood response as basically as our submission.
Yeah, you would not have to sit with the other 3 municipalities and power through an exercise this year.
Yeah.
Unless the other 3 will have to. So if you want to, we can do it together.
Okay. But we'll tackle that at the next EMPC meeting. Okay.
Yes. I did throw out a couple of dates for the end of June, but we can always chat amongst ourselves. I'll throw out an email on that.
Okay. Any other questions on the CEMC report? Okay. Next, anything else, Amy, before, so we're going to jump to Dave's report and then we're going to come back to the flood response. So,
Okay.
okay. So we have Dave Priester's road report. As Shar mentioned, he's not able to make it tonight. Were there any questions from the report that you wanted to pass on to Dave?
I have no questions.
I did have a question, actually. I don't know if, Shar, you might know. Are we putting the speed bumps out in front of Doe Lake Resort this year, or have we heard?
I have not heard. That would be a Dave question.
Yeah, that's probably a Dave.
I can,
We have our speed sign too. Are we putting it back by the
I think
resort?
it's-
We're putting it back in the train.
It's going on Chetwynd Road this week and relocated to Doe Lake Road at the end of June.
So, and then it'll stay on Doe Lake Road for the summer?
Presume, yeah, it doesn't say here, but I presume that we'll keep it there for the summer season when the campers are there. Okay. No other comments, questions to pass on to Dave? I was saying earlier, I'm a little concerned. The roads guys just seem to get hit by one thing after the
Yeah.
other. It just doesn't seem to stop.
Yeah. That's been tough. It was tough winter and a
Tough winter followed by a tough spring.
Yeah.
Okay. We will jump to item 30, which is a staff report from Mr. Gray on the flood response and some of the considerations around this. Most of this is for discussion purposes at this point. There's no resolution attached to this. It's just for discussion and consideration. There have been a couple of requests made for relief with respect to some of the costs around demolition permit fees and picking up of garbage. But we have done a fair amount of that during the flood where dumpsters were brought out to the two locations of Picker Lake and down at Katrine. So it's just a question now of, do we want to offer anything else up? Do we want to consider anything else? And I guess, Amy, the reason we wanted you to stay around is there's certainly implications to the landfill if we start taking in this potentially some demolition, 3 or 4 bins of demolition materials that we aren't necessarily planning on. So, comments?
So with the bins that we've placed and disposed of, for this flood, from this report, it looks like that's at a cost $7,361.65. Township is picking up the cost of the bin rental and the disposal specific to the flood event.
Yeah.
So the ask is for over and above that. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Reduced dump fees or transfer. I think it's a very slippery.
Well, and the bins, though, the way they're listed on here is we wanted to immediately separate when people bring things to the landfill, instead of putting their things in the landfill, put them in a bin and send it out right away.
Yeah.
To conserve the landfill.
I understand why that's important to do.
but how do you determine when somebody comes in, other than word of mouth, that it's someone it's flood impact and not someone cleaning out their yard from, years ago? There's no way to monitor that. You don't have the staff at the landfill to stand over these bins.
But it would happen during, you wouldn't be bringing stuff in August from the flood in May.
Well, I think with some of the cottagers starting to come up now.
Yeah, this is what I'm under the impression is, do we want to put this in place now for people that are dealing with cleanup renovations? The flood's over.
But if they're pulling out wet drywall and stuff, that's not going to be happening in August. That would be happening now, if not.
Yeah, and I think the idea was that it would be tied to a demolition permit. So the assumption is you have to get a permit to demolish.
Right.
Presumably during that stage, you're proving that it's as a result of the flood. And you could kind of do it one-offs that way. You'd be able to determine. And I think, Amy, you may have had some more discussion with Dave and or Andrew around this in terms of tying to the demolition permit and knowing who is coming, or maybe scheduling a time when they could come using a separate gate. Like there may be ways to,
If we're only anticipating, sorry, Amy, but if we're only anticipating 2 to 4 permits, could we not just arrange to have bins put down at their house where we've given the permits for the demolition?
yeah, so that was the original ask. And I think to Char's point, that's where it gets to, well, what happens if a neighbor comes over and starts pitching things? Now all of a sudden we're paying for, so Amy go ahead, Amy, I think you had some concerns about that as well, so.
You lose control of those bins, and they're visually out there where we could have them at the landfill and know what we could put them up top where they're not seen. A little more controlled and tied to a building permit. We have already had one come in with some disposal asking questions, and I've given staff the direction that they are to ask at the office. That's not between them and the staff. But we just don't know when is the line being drawn. If they show up on the weekends, are they allowed to continue?
So how do we know it wasn't a demo that was scheduled anyway? How do we know that this person wasn't going to demo their cottage
Oh, yeah.
and do a rebuild? It had nothing to do with the flood.
Yeah,
You would think they would have some evidence of flooding though.
but I mean, those places have been there they were building in the floodplain 30 years ago. Things have flooded every time it's friggin' got high. So, I mean, I could take you to cottages and show you there's water damage. It's from flood damage. There's probably, I'm just assuming, I'm just throwing out there, there's probably people out there that it's been fine all these years. We won't worry about it. Oh, if we can get a new permit for free, let's put a new deck up. I don't believe we are responsible or should be accountable for reduction in fees if they want to do structural. They opted to build in a flood zone. That's not our fault.
But would insurance cover them?
No.
That's nothing to do with us though.
Well, that's what I'm saying. But if insurance covered them, then it's a moot point. We don't need to be paying it.
If any flood mediation that I've done, it's all covered by insurance, but it has to be dealt with immediately.
Immediately, you'd have to notify
That's
the
correct.
insurance company immediately.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just think
We got a lot more people with flooding in Katrina than we do up at the north end.
Mm-hmm.
And we didn't offer reduced fees or no permits for rebuilds in the past.
no, but we have provided them with bins at a cost of $7,000 that all the rest of the ratepayers are picking up, basically.
Yeah.
But it seems as though whether or not they should is a different point, but it seems as though other ratepayers use those bins as well. They were sitting in.
Oh, I expect so, because there's no way of policing.
Yes.
Yeah.
But this question is to reduce fees and such for.
How many people have asked for how many people at this time, how many permits have been requested for a rebuild?
Looks like 2 to 4.
Yeah, some of it,
But once word gets out,
yeah.
But have 2 to 4 people asked, or is that
I don't know that's a date.
There's been one direct ask because I've had the phone call
okay.
several times.
I think
What about existing permits?
once you open the door.
That's a good question. Yeah, so what if you've got one in flight, which I think we actually do? Then to your point, Wendy, now it becomes, you go back to those ones and
It's a slippery slope because you're setting precedent.
We discussed doing it on a individual, right, basis, but
there's a couple of factors. One is that, to Rod's point, these folks bought on a floodplain and they must have known and probably got some kind of break on the price of the house because of it. Maybe not, but probably.
Yeah.
Which also means taxes presumably are a little bit lower.
A lot of these are cottages, not primary dwellings either.
but we have one ratepayer who flooded out twice this year.
Yeah.
And it doesn't sound like they got a break on the price of the house, and it sounds like they would like to not be paying for the whole thing. Right? So
Yeah.
there's elements I don't know. To what end? But at the same time, you're now in a crisis and we're going to pay, $380. We're going to lose $380 if that helps you in a crisis. I think that's
Nobody's
fair.
getting a relief on the construction materials. Right? I mean, just because
Right.
you've been flooded out and you're rebuilding, you don't go to the home building center and say, hey, I've been flooded out. Can you give me a discount on building materials? Right? We have our.
Yeah,
Is that just,
we're not, we're like,
so we're going to say if nobody else is helping you, we're also not helping you?
no, but
Like, oh, you're paying full price there? Well, we'll double your price here. Like,
I think it's just be difficult for staff to enforce.
yes.
Well, I think it will be. And
On
I think,
track.
I think we've already made accommodation because we had those bins available and the immediate impact they had. Yes, they had to get themselves up to their seasonal property and deal with it. And those bins were there and they could get it. And it was at no cost for them to dispose. We didn't do that for years. We've done it for the last 2 floods.
But we did ask them not to come to their properties. If it was a seasonal property, we in fact said, this is an emergency situation. Please do not come here right now.
Yes, but as soon
during the emergency.
as they could, the bins were available to them.
Yes, okay.
And I mean, theoretically, they could have torn the whole house down and thrown it in the bins
Yeah.
if they had time. Right? And we wouldn't have much recourse, so.
No.
Yeah, it's a tough one. It's a slippery slope, and we're not making a decision tonight. We just have to kind of get direction back to staff to what are the options we can look at.
The only thing that I had mentioned to Dave is if you wanted to consider something along this line, set it up along the lines of the water monitor.
Water monitor, I was
So you
thinking.
have a strict amount that council is dedicating to that budget. If someone wants to receive a certain amount, they don't get the whole $5,000. You can get a maximum of whatever, but you've got to provide all of the receipts to back it up with disposal, right? So you go to the landfill, you pay these fees, and then similar to what you have to do. If you want to be compensated or look at relief, your submission has to be to council by this date, back it up with all the receipts from the landfill or whatever.
And then we have to.
I think that's very fair.
And it's case
Like that
by
idea,
case.
because and similar to the water quality, you've got to you've got to do all the work first
Yeah.
and then back with the receipts
Yeah.
after.
But you got to set a max. You got to cap it and say council's only going to put,
Yeah, because it's,
Well, and then
6-8
council
grand
needs to
towards it.
consider, are we doing this for seasonal properties or for just permanent properties or both?
Well, we get taxes from both, so we have to do it for
We get
everybody.
taxes from both, yeah.
we'd have to do it for both. But to your point, like with the water quality, it's $1,000 max for each lake association, right? So you set
Yeah.
the max. So.
I
You
think
have to determine from Allison what's available, right? Because budget's already been passed for
Yeah, I
the,
think that's the best approach. Something along those lines.
but you set the credentials as, okay, you need a demolition permit, you have to have a rebuild, obviously site plan's going to be in place for all of them because they're all going to be waterfront,
Yeah.
right? So show us that you're going through the site plan process. I don't want or hope that nobody's in agreement to reducing any of the planning application fees, right?
Well, there's costs involved.
Because there's costs involved, right?
There's costs involved in all.
We get bills from planners and lawyers and, registrations to do this. So we don't want to take on an additional cost. It's one thing if you want to look at reducing admin fees or whatever, but when you look at, you can't reduce a lawyer's fee. We're getting a bill regardless.
I think
But we have to also consider, there isn't a magic pot of money that covers these costs. The rest of the ratepayers in the community have to pick up the tab for the costs involved in this. So we have to make sure that this is something we're comfortable with.
So we need a report from the treasurer that says we can afford to do
Yeah.
this.
And you could take it to, like, it's not just going to be related to flood.
No, it could be an earthquake.
We could have some wicked wind and
Yeah.
tear down somebody's barn.
We gotta give.
Where do you stop? Somebody's had a fire.
You gotta give.
but
us-
if we had wicked wind, again, would that not be covered by insurance?
Not necessarily, an act of God, not
I
like.
don't think you guys should consider doing any compensation towards accessory structures, garages or, sheds or gazebos. It would be a primary dwelling or a cottage.
Yeah, there's another example is like,
You enforce that.
what are we going to, it's like,
I'd like to know what other municipalities in our area, if any of them have a program.
Because if it goes into the dumpster, you're not gonna know whether it's a siding off a house or somebody's garage or a gazebo.
Right.
I mean, it's a lot.
to consider.
So can we suggest to staff that they take this report? Because I don't think Dave saw this as a final thing.
No.
It was to be discussed. So maybe going back and 3 or 4 options. And one of the options is always do nothing.
Yeah.
So 3 options plus the do nothing option. Does that seem reasonable, Amy, from your perspective? And I'm sure Dave's going to need your input because it impacts you at the landfill potentially.
Well, if these people were serious, then they should initiate their demolition permit, and that would show that they're prepared, which I would also tie into Char's comment on planning. Be prepared because you're going to need a site plan. These are things that we should explain to them right now.
Yeah.
But doing anything, Rod's making an excellent Councillor Rod Blakelock. Where do we draw the line?
Yeah.
What's the family without didn't have house insurance and their house burnt to the ground. We better help them. Community helps them.
Yeah.
It's a fine line, I would say, to start.
Okay. So we'll need a few options, and perhaps by the next meeting or 2 meetings from now, we can discuss it further. The one particular gentleman that called me a few times, and the first thing I did say was, you're going to have to get a demolition permit. You have to start the process. If this is what your plan is, regardless, you have to get a demolition permit, and we can't make any guarantees that there's any money coming back your way. It's just, and it'll take us weeks to sort this out. So there was no expectation set in terms of timeline.
Yeah.
We've got some work to do. So Dave's got some homework.
I must say, Dave is looking mighty beautiful this evening.
I know. It's a big improvement, eh?
Poor real Dave.
Dave's also very quiet this evening.
Oh my gosh, yes.
I drove him to Huntsville. I just left him there, Amy. That's how this worked out. Okay, so again, no decision on this. We have some information, but we'll need more, and we can chat about it in a subsequent meeting. Thank you for sticking around, Amy. Appreciate it.
Not a problem. Thank you.
Okay.
Good evening.
Yeah, interesting discussion. I'm sure there'll be more on that one. Okay, next up, we have accounts for approval. The Council of Township of Armour approved the June 2026 accounts in the amount of $1,006,030.37 for payment, and the mayor and treasurer are hereby authorized to sign checks for same.
I think that's the highest
Yeah,
it's ever been.
7 figures. They get a mover. Was that you, Wendy, that moved?
I will.
Or was that a Yowza
That was pain.
seconder?
Sure.
Yeah, a lot of items in here. Any questions on this that haven't been asked already?
The Russell Christie 6525, the best. That's just for us to get a legal opinion.
Yep.
Well, and was that also for the meeting attended or no?
That would have been, I believe, it would have included discussions with their solicitor as well in the last month.
That was the April 28th meeting or whatever day.
Yeah, and then and probably any conversations that were had in the month of May.
You can see how it'll get up to the hundreds of thousands pretty quickly.
Yeah.
That's, yeah.
Yeah, a lot going on for sure.
Your quarterly payments, I think, that are being hit.
Yeah, the quarterly pay, and then we had our emergency office repairs that got
Yeah.
in there too, right?
Yeah.
Roads,
Road.
got some roads payments in there.
Next month will be cheaper. Okay, we have a mover and a seconder. All those in favor? That's carried. We can pay the bills. All right, applications, we have none, so we're into bylaws. First, the Council Township of Armour have read and approved bylaw 31-2026, being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of council at its May 2026 meetings, and we authorize the mayor and clerk to sign this bylaw and affix the seal of corporation there too. Dorothy. A seconder. Rod. And this was for meetings on May 12th and 26th and the public meeting on May 12th. All those in favor? And that's carried. And next we have a bylaw for execution of a site plan agreement. And I believe we have
Yes.
the applicant online. And I'll just read it in. Council Township of Armour have read and approved bylaw 32-2026, being a bylaw to authorize the execution of a site plan agreement between 1000613-806 Ontario Inc. and the Township of Armour with respect to Lot 16, Registered Plan 199, known municipally as 390 Kent Road, and that we authorize the mayor and clerk to sign this bylaw and affix the seal of the corporation there too. Move her to get it on the table. Dorothy.
Sure.
And Rod. Okay, questions?
So I understand the new build will be above the floodplain elevation for Kicker Lake, which
Yes.
is
323.8.
323.8. But the 100-foot setback is not being met.
No, the building envelope is detailed.
Yeah, okay.
Pretty much puts the building envelope onto Kent Road.
Yeah. Septic system. Is it a raised bed or a regular bed?
So Andrew was going out to look at it this afternoon, and he indicated that he'd give me a shout if he had any concerns with it. The Conservation Authority did do an inspection and approve it in April of this year, but the septic itself was installed in the 70s. Conservation Authority did sign off on it recently.
So by signing off, they don't do it. Do they do a physical inspection at the property, or do they do a review of the paperwork?
I don't know. Well, I've never been one to question Conservation Authority. I know that before we held the pre-consultation meeting, that I had reached out to the property owner to obtain confirmation, because if the septic had to be moved, we would have had to amend the drawing. And so the document came in from the Conservation Authority before approving what was proposed in this build.
And I understand the septic is like in the 70s or early 80s.
1979, yes. Now Adrian, I keep wanting to call me, Andrew did indicate that he could put a note in there for the build regarding any concerns with the septic going forward. Just have it noted in cloud permit, but that would be something that he would address with the property owner. Because the bottom line is that the Conservation Authority has approved the septic.
Well, yeah, my concern is what does that approval constitute? I don't think they do an on-site review. I think they determined there was a permit and the size of the bed and the tank is sized
appropriately
for this new construction. I'm concerned that it's a 45-year-old septic and you're putting a new build on the property. We normally see the septic being upgraded at the time of the new build. So maybe the property owner could like to speak.
So is it Tara and Adrian?
Yeah.
Tara and Adrian, I don't know if you have any background on the septic side of things.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much there's nothing changing with the structure. We're not adding any fixtures, any bathrooms, anything like that. We had it inspected and pumped by the name's leaving me, but a local company back in I think it was 2023 or early 2024. So I mean, the date of a septic, not necessarily a concern if it's properly maintained. He saw no issues. I mean, at the end of the day, that kind of comes down to our responsibility. If it backs up, that's, or fails in some degree, that's going to be on us as the owner to rectify, just like it would be in any other situation. To pound this the cost of a new septic on top of this already unfortunate situation would not be appreciated.
So the issue so when I was looking at the site plan agreement, the thing I noticed was that there isn't the usual clause in there about North Bay Mattawa. And then Char explained that with the changeover, that's really part of the building permit process now. The problem in this case is there is no building permit process for the septic, to your point.
Right.
So we're kind of caught where, I mean, North Bay Mattawa can say whatever they want. They're out of the picture.
Yeah. There's no responsibility.
So are we potentially going to be in a situation where something goes wrong with the septic and somehow the onus comes back to the building inspector saying they should have spent more time on this? I don't know. That's an Andrew question, but
Yeah. So the existing septic is not a raised bed, is that correct? It's just a normal in-ground septic. It's not a raised bed septic.
I don't believe it to be a raised bed. It is higher in elevation than any other point on the property. But as far as the technicalities of a raised bed, I don't know that it classifies as a raised bed. No.
It indicates tank lids. If it was raised, would the tank lids still be identified like this?
What I'm thinking of is it's a substantial raised bed. Like you drive down the road and the septic is way up here and
up in the air.
But still
up in the air.
So if it, like, because it identified tank lids, that would lead me to believe that it's in the ground, that it is.
Yeah, I would expect so. So does your septic, is it underwater in a flood situation in the spring?
Yes, of course. Yeah. Along with,
Yes.
everyone else is on the road. So.
Yeah.
It's not like it's a brand new build where you're doing septic and everything as part of the site plan, and we would have control over the building permit. It's an existing, and if North Bay Mattawa said that it's
Right.
that it's okay, I'm not sure.
Andrew checked it today, right? He was going to let you know if there was a concern today.
Yes.
Yeah, he had told me he wanted to go look at it.
Okay.
Yeah.
And just to speak to that, sorry, Andrew did meet us at our property. Basically, as soon as we could get in there after the spring flood, he met us there and we chatted about the process for the building permit and a few questions. And he knew that we were in the midst of the paperwork with North Bay Mattawa, and he was the one that advised us that it was about to be moved in-house May 1st. But he said, if you've already got the ball rolling and done all the paperwork, see it through. If you can see it through before April 30th, he approved of that.
Okay, and that did happen. It was done before the cutoff.
It was, and it was to Charlene and dated before April 30th. Yes.
Okay.
All right. That sounds like we've checked all this. So any other questions on this one?
Just the wording on the, what is that? Special provisions number 5B. With the lake bed of 3 Mile Lake. Is that just a typo?
Yeah, what page is that on?
Oh, I don't go by pages, but it's
Item what?
it's
Page 20.
5 special provisions B.
Okay. Page 29, sorry.
Caught one and missed one.
Good catch.
Okay, I'll get that corrected for the lake name.
Do we have to say as amended or is it all right? Okay. Thanks, Rod. Okay, we have a mover and a seconder. All those in favor? And that's carried. Tara and Adrian.
Thank you, guys.
Okay, you're welcome. You're welcome to stay for the rest of the meeting if you want some laughs, but
Yeah.
Jerry's not here. Jerry and Dave aren't here, and they're the entertainment.
See a couple empty seats there.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Rob, thank you.
All right, we are already into reports, so we might as well just power on here. We have a planning report from June. Questions for Charlene on this one?
Looks like things are heating up.
I'm closing a lot of files. You can see abandoned.
Okay. Okay, next up, we have the planning board. It was a fairly quick meeting because we only had one application. But the MMAH notice of public consultation came to, so Town of Kearney has until whatever it was, the end of June, I think, for public consultation for them to pull out of the planning board. So we have no idea where that's going to sit. The other issue that came up in the meeting was that there's some liability insurance that the planning board should have had as a result of being in Perry's office. So Perry gives them rent for free, but the planning board actually is supposed to have their own liability insurance. So that's being taken care of. There was a concern that it was going to hit the municipalities. We said, well, we got to have it. So Linda's just in the midst of getting quotes for that. So hopefully I have that taken care of this month. Other than that, it's pretty quiet on the planning board side.
So I was going to ask, what does a year look like?
We've only done 30 some odd applications, and it's getting to the point financially where, there's enough money there, but there's definitely no surplus. So
Big change since COVID.
yeah, well, we were at 128 a year for a stretch, and now
Maybe I should come back to moderating. Maybe that's what the key was.
that's it. They're not showing up because Charlene's not there.
Not moderating anymore.
Seems
It's
to
dropped
run
off.
cycles for sure. That's why it's good to have the reserve when you need it, but it'll be interesting to see what impact. Do we know how many a year, Kearney?
It's pretty low.
Is it?
Yeah, and I'm not sure that it's going to speed things up from their perspective, and I'm not sure that it's going to be any cheaper. But we'll see. They seem to think it will be. So if MMAH lets it happen, I would presume they're signaling that planning boards are going to disappear. That would be my guess. But we'll see. I just think out of the 6 municipalities, there's probably 4 that would struggle to deal with the workload. Maybe
Well,
6.
You need some expertise for sure.
Yeah.
Like it's not.
The thing with consents and then subdivisions are huge. There's no way that an applicant can meet all those requirements in a notice of decision for a subdivision in 2 years. So you're constantly renewing them.
Yeah.
And that with consents, the issue with those types of files is that it's not like a site plan or a rezoning where within 2 months it's closed and you move on. Like they jam up filing cabinets like crazy.
Yeah.
And you look at the one subdivision that we have, I think I'm on my second accordion file with that one.
Yeah.
We haven't even began drafting the subdivision agreement.
Yeah.
So it's the amount of paperwork.
And the time.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. There's one in McMurray that's been on the docket since 2011, I think it is. 2011, 2014. It's still going.
And it doesn't get cheaper. The longer the wait, the more expensive it becomes.
Exactly. Okay. So we shall see. I'll keep you posted on that. Next meeting was ACE. So Dave's not here and Wendy wasn't able to make that one, so I got to go. So unfortunately, the Chamber of Commerce came in person to the meeting and announced that they are basically pulling out of their $10,000 a year contribution to ACE because they have no money. So they're in a position where their membership has dropped significantly. They're struggling to get by, and they just been at a point where they had to do a bit of a Hail Mary and say we can't meet our obligation to the 10,000. There was discussion before the meeting, and you'll see a report from Courtney in here about some options, because the consensus with the ACE board was we don't want you guys to leave. Like, we don't want the Chamber of Commerce to
That's a
go
big
away.
part of it.
It's a huge
Yes,
part.
yeah.
So whether they can afford to pay the 10,000 or not, we just said, let's figure that out later, but stay at the table. So we don't lose that connection. So they were happy to do that. Two of the members were there and they stayed around for the whole meeting. So.
I mean, they've been active with ACE forever.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, they coordinate
Yes.
some of the things that it's.
And Courtney made some good points in her report that there is a fair amount of overlap.
Yeah.
So maybe it's time to start looking at who's doing what.
Yeah.
And we're not sure if we could put everything into one organization. That may be tough from a governance standpoint, but there might be things that can be done. One suggestion was that the Chamber of Commerce is essentially acts as a committee of ACE. Like it does all the outreach to businesses and does all the things that they do now, business after 5, but they do it as a subcommittee. But that's all to be determined.
Yeah.
We'll have to figure that out.
Does the chamber get any funding from anyone?
Doesn't sound like it.
It's
It's all
memberships.
It's all membership based. The memberships are down like 40%. It's like a huge. It was a
Because they were growing the members.
well, and the biggest employer in the area didn't pay their membership.
Oh.
Decided that they didn't want to be member for $400 a year. They didn't want to pay it. So, which is unfortunate from a community perspective. That's too bad.
Yeah, because I think, in my opinion, the Chamber of Commerce, they started what ACE piggybacked onto, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, they explored it. The Chamber of Commerce were more on Main Street, whereas when ACE got into it, they looked at everything.
Looking at the region
and bigger areas. So it's
Yeah. I'm sorry to hear they're struggling.
Yeah. So the executive director, I'm not sure if she's still working at all, but they had cut the hours back significantly. Like it was just minimal hours.
Yeah, that's too bad.
So.
Well, I think that's why they had to hire staff because their board was burnt out from.
Right, because they're all volunteers.
They're all
trying to do
volunteers,
it.
so without even a part-time staff member, it was tough. So that's too bad.
So that's the bad news, but the good news is that there was certainly support from the ACE board.
Yeah.
We want to keep them in the fold, and we don't want,
That's fantastic.
we'll figure this out. However that has to be. So there'll be more to come on that in the next meeting. And you'll see the ACE monthly reports in there as well.
Mm-hmm.
I probably couldn't answer any questions if you asked me specifically.
Has to be the quickest ACE report I've ever heard of.
I was like, regrets, Rod. Oh.
Usually it's over to you, Dave. You have anything to add there, Sugar?
Not at all.
That worked out.
You should have just read it, start the whole report. Like, this is my time.
Okay, next up is the Health Council. So we had a meeting on June 4th, and you'll see the minutes from the May 7th meeting are there as well. The one thing that did get discussion, which I should have added, the report that we got from the Hospital Foundation. So the one item that we discussed with the turn of council coming up is the fact that the local share amounts have been put into reserves, and it's going to continue basically over 3 council terms because it's a 10 to 12 year kind of thing. We asked the Hospital Foundation about options we might have, and there's one option that we could think about is making a donation to the Hospital Foundation. And we could do that as a group of all 10 municipalities, but I think each individual municipality is going to want to decide this on their own. And basically do the Happy Gilmore big check ceremony where they hand it over and we have the photo op, and that at least the money that's been put up in the reserves at this point is put aside for the hospital bill.
So it doesn't.
So do that each
So that it
term?
doesn't, because the concern would be if a new term of council comes in who violently disagree with giving to the local share, it could get killed. Like it could, and without some protections in place, I'm not sure that they couldn't take those reserves and move them somewhere else. I'm not sure how that.
They shouldn't be able to do that.
They shouldn't be able to, and I think we passed the bylaw for it, but that would be an extreme case. I certainly don't see that happening in Armour, but we just asked the hospital foundation if they've seen this before, and they said absolutely it happens all the time. And so there's an upside and a downside. One is that they will take a management fee of 1%. So we have 500 and some odd thousand in our reserves for this right now. So they would take a 1% management fee to look after it. But they're also investing the money, and any investments that would come back in returns would get added to our portion.
So my concern was that we wouldn't be getting the interest if we moved it from
Yeah.
our accounts
So
to
they,
theirs.
so they'll
We are
manage it,
still then.
and they'll give us a report every year as to how things are going. And so, and if the hospital bill, God forbid, gets killed, we would get all the money back. It would be written into the agreement.
I think the 1% is reasonable because we're paying a staff to
It's-
manage
it's
it alternatively,
fine.
right? So as long as we are getting the financial credit for the interest, then fantastic. I wouldn't want to give it to them. If we give them 500, that's it, because we could be making interest on the 500 in our account.
Right.
But if they're going to give us credit for the interest earned in their accounts, I think that's fantastic.
Yeah. So this is in my mind is a staff decision. It's a treasurer's decision. And I've asked Dave to bring it back to the clerk's table because I think, and I'm not sure we can decide on something as a group of 10 municipalities. I don't think we'd ever end up on the same page.
No.
But there's different options. So I think if there's a concern about what might happen, then
I think
there's an option.
I'm just thinking aloud is what municipality wouldn't want to be part of the big picture,
Exactly.
right? Like if we said we want to, here's our money, we've set it aside, here's our money, and we want to be part of the photo op for the presentation. I don't think it would look good for any municipality that didn't want to get on board with a new hospital build and get their name on.
Yeah, to say there's
One,
one.
that's right.
Well,
I mean,
It would be good if our treasurer actually reached out because it's set up in our accounting as a specific reserve.
Yeah.
So I would like the treasurer to reach out to the accountant or Marjorie, if that's as far as it needs to go, to get a clear picture of what can and can't happen with that reserve. Because maybe we're worried about nothing.
Yeah, it could be that that money's set aside
Yeah.
and that's the end.
Yeah.
I know I think in the case of Burke's Falls, they actually have it set up as a levy. So I think because it's a levy, you can't touch it. Because it says right on their tax form that 1.03% or whatever
Oh,
is for the hospital
for the hospital.
fund. So I believe they're covered by that, but I don't know.
The trick is, did all 10 municipalities set something specific up? Either a reserve fund or a levy or something that can.
And they were all different because Magnetowan treated it like a donation.
Yeah.
They said here. it's-
Annually.
Yeah.
And
Right.
so, and there's no guarantee that they're going to continue that.
That's right.
next term.
That's right. Yeah.
So,
Whereas if we've got a specific reserve, yeah, I'd be interested in knowing what our accountant thinks about that.
and we could have Allison reach out to the hospital foundation.
Yeah.
If she wants.
Yeah.
So I sent the letter to Dave. I'm sure he's passed it on to Allison.
Yeah.
So that's the update from that. There'll probably be more news coming. Next up, we have our financial reports from June. And I think we're just waiting for some funding to come in, you said, Shar?
Yes.
Pretty tough to, after a quarter or 2 quarters to tell exactly where we are.
Yeah.
Over budget, is what she said.
but only until our funding comes in.
Fingers crossed. Okay. Next up, we have, are there any other reports that I've missed? Okay. Next up, we have correspondence items 14 to 22. So I think we'll get through the correspondence at least, and maybe the unfinished business before we get into new business. We'll take a break somewhere in there. Few resolutions along the way. Council of the Township of Armour supports the town of Plimpton, Wyoming, and calls upon the province of Ontario to replace competitive provincial fire service grant programs with a permanent, stable, predictable, and equitable non-competitive funding model that provides annual support for the operational readiness and training costs of volunteer, composite, and full-time fire departments, with funding levels reviewed and adjusted to better align with the provincial support provided to other regulated emergency services, including policing and paramedic services. I got Wendy and Dorsey on that one. Seemed to make sense, and appreciate the fact that you didn't make it the same resolution that's written down here.
I struggled.
Yeah.
It's a
Would have
big
played-
run-on sentence.
You would have
Better.
blamed it on Charlotte. You didn't write it.
Not yet. She's still new. Maybe in a couple weeks.
Okay, all those in favor? That one, that's carried. Council Township of Armour supports the Township of Puslinch and the Western Ontario Wardens Caucus and calls on the Provincial Ministry of Health and the Federal Ministry of Health to make immediate action to reduce emergency room wait times by enhancing triage protocols, increasing funding for emergency readiness, introducing Finley's Law to establish maximum pediatric ER wait times, safe staffing ratios, independent oversight and investigations into pediatric ER deaths, improve pediatric emergency staffing, training and infrastructure, and enforcing compliance with national health standards, including the Canadian Triage and Acuity Scale, CTAS, and new sepsis care standards under the Canada Health Act.
I'll move that.
Okay, moved by Dorothy.
Sure.
Seconded by Rod.
Did you see the new pilot project that they've started where if you live within a certain kilometers of the hospital, you go in to triage, you then go home and they text you when you can come back to the hospital when they're ready to see you. So instead of waiting in the waiting room for 8 hours, you wait at home and you wait in the waiting room for 20 minutes.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah, and apparently it's reduced wait times. I'm like making up figures now, but I want to say it was reducing wait times by 50% in the pilot hospital. Like it was significant.
As long as, you're being sent home for.
So you have to be triaged first. So if it was like, I think I broke my arm, I can go home and wait in my living room, just like I can wait in the waiting room.
I think I'm having a heart attack.
Yeah, but just like they would triage you and treat you immediately, then they wouldn't have you wait in the waiting room if it was so obviously if it's an emergency situation, like a level whatever 4 or whatever it is, they would treat you immediately, but anybody that would be left to wait in the waiting room would now wait at home. So
it's a good idea. Simple thing, but it's a good idea.
yeah. And I mean the comfort of the person waiting, right?
Yeah. Okay. Any other questions on this one? All those in favor? That's carried. Township of Armour supports the Township of Baldwin and calls upon the province to review the Ontario Provincial Police Municipal Policing Billing Model and the policing funding structure for unorganized territories to establish a fair and equitable funding model that ensures all communities receiving LPP services contribute appropriately to policing costs while consulting with municipalities, particularly those in Northern Ontario, regarding the financial impacts and inequities of the current system. Nate? Seconder.
I think it's a very difficult thing to do, but.
So I think the complaint here is around unorganized memberships. And
There's a lot of problems with unorganized.
the fact that they're not necessarily paying their share.
Yeah.
But okay. It's fair that they're not paying their share, but at the same time, if you don't have the population to cover the costs, how do you pay your
They're
share?
paying the service and not paying for it.
But it's an Ontario service.
That the rest of us have to pay for to help cover the unorganized.
To be fortunate enough to live in an unorganized township, you don't really have to pay for the service. You're going to get the same service.
You're going to get the service not paid.
But you're not going to get the same service. You're going to have one police officer for your whole community.
And you've decided to move to an unorganized municipality,
Or you were born there.
or you were born.
We're not talking about Brooks Falls, Emsdale,
No.
South Spursdale, right? Like we're talking about very remote communities.
Well, not necessarily, like
Yeah, not
just outside of Macker is unorganized.
Well, yes, but
So-
oh, okay, well,
Yeah.
put a levy on there. Yes. For some, I think it would be very difficult to populate the funds necessary.
And the challenge with the OPP budget in particular has gone way up.
Yeah.
Like the costs are, ours was 11% increase, I think, this year. That's huge.
Plus we have the committee that we have to fund.
And we have to have a
Pay
committee.
insurance on.
Yeah. Yep. Okay, do we have a mover and a seconder? All those in favor? That's carried. Item 17. So 17. This one was highlighted for me because I wasn't sure what this was for. So I'm going to read it in and we can discuss. Council of Township of Armour approve a business card size advertisement in their annual regional WOR review at a cost of $349 plus HST to support the National Wall of Remembrance Association. I'll get a mover and a seconder to read it in. Seconder,
Sure.
Dorothy. So I guess, where does this actually appear? Because I found what jumped out to me was the email to Allison that basically sent an invoice.
Mhm.
So if you look at this following page, it says that your advertisement will appear in a regional edition of the WOR review. It looks like it's in Kingston. So there's a publication that just circulates within the Kingston region. But in the past, this has been automatically purchased in 2014 to 2025, and I couldn't find a previous resolution. So I think previously it was just, we got the invoice, we paid it. But normally when someone requests that we run in or we advertise with them, we bring it forward to you.
It comes through as a.
Yeah,
Like the Legion, we advertise with that, the Veteran magazine.
yes, we do the Veteran magazine.
You
and
do
we
that.
Local.
And you see something, but I searched digitally and I couldn't find any advertisement with the Township of Armour. So I think it's a print thing that was just in Kingston.
Yeah.
So that's what I was thinking. I mean, like, to me, it's more of a local service.
Well, we already we donate for our own Legion annually.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And we do an ad in the Legion book.
we can like there's umpteen monuments around this freaking countryside. Like, just I personally think it's out of our district.
Yeah.
Is what I would think.
Yeah. Potentially the $400 could be spent somewhere else.
I'd rather give it to the Berks Falls Legion.
Mhm.
Like, just to me, it does this. It's giving the same effect. It's recognizing veterans,
Mhm. Which
and
is
it's benefiting our community.
Well, but this is recognizing veterans in Kingston in somebody's mailbox. So I'm not sure why they would want to open it up and see that Armour supported them.
Yeah, it wouldn't mean anything to.
And our ratepayers wouldn't be like, oh, good, our voices are being heard in Kingston.
But it was a good catch because it looks like this just became an automatic thing.
Yeah.
We didn't really question it. We probably just paid
Allison did.
Allison. Yeah.
Allison caught it.
Yeah.
Allison.
Not on her watch.
She said, we're getting a resolution for this. I'm like, okay, we'll see.
So, I mean, with two choices, we can pass the resolution and pay it for this year, or we can just say we've done our share for whatever, 10 years. So,
Yeah,
I'd say we've done our share.
I agree.
Thank you for highlighting that we need to donate to our local Legion.
for local legion. Okay, so all those in favor? All those opposed? And that's defeated. Okay. Council of the Township of Armour supports the County of Prince Edward, requesting the province of Ontario redistribute a portion of the land transfer tax to municipalities to help address public health funding gaps and rising municipal contributions to public health care units, and further commit to a minimum annual public health care funding increases tied to Ontario's consumer price index, currently 2.4%, when announcing the new Ontario public health standards. Land transfer tax comes up at least once a year
Yeah.
to be used for something.
That's not probably gonna happen, but
Yeah. Seconder,
Sure.
Dorothy. Can support Prince Edward in their attempt to get this done. All those in favor? Let's see what happens. Council Township of Armour supports the town of northeastern Manitoulin and the islands and requests that the province of Ontario provide immediate and sustained funding to improve hospital finances and capacity, which, as per the recommendations in the CCPA study, would require an immediate injection of $3.2 billion supported by annual increases of 6% per year thereafter.
Sure.
Rod. Seconder. Wendy. Gonna have to put the speed cameras back up to pay for them.
yeah.
Okay, all those in favor? That's carried. Thank. The rest are acknowledgements, one being Austin's delegation. I guess he went to Ryerson after he came here last meeting, and we have the monthly jobs report and the news release from the public health around the replacement of the routine monitoring of the water testing.
So that's being coordinated with our bylaw officers right now. The health unit has been in contact with me. They asked that we take down the signs that are currently there. They will attempt to reuse them, refurbish them. And they will stop by the office and give our bylaw guys the new signs and take the old ones back. And we'll put them in up as soon as we get them.
Okay. All right, so we are down to unfinished business. Why don't we take a break now? We'll break till 8:30 and then we'll do unfinished and new business.
Okay.
For those in Zoom land, we're gonna break till 8:30. Go. Okay, we're back in action and we're on to unfinished business item 23. So this is the official statement from Almaguin Data that they are not putting in their data center. So it was unfortunate the way this whole thing unraveled. Dave actually sent a note off to, I believe he sent a note off to Matt saying that he had a website up that seemed to indicate that they were already well in progress with the AI data center. And it's just the way it was worded, it looked like it was a done deal. And when they hadn't even purchased the property and we hadn't agreed to sell it. So he sent that note out and then Facebook just went nuts with a bunch of crap actually, but it was just a whole bunch of information. And unfortunately it kind of turned into the news and it shouldn't have. So they have probably wisely decided to back off. They realized that the cost of doing the studies and the amount of public pushback they were likely going to get just wasn't worth it. So they have changed their minds, and I'm not sure if they're going to go anywhere else or they've given up. So that was the news on that one. They have apparently Power Bank is apparently now in the AA data center game, so they're combining their businesses with battery storage systems, which makes a little bit of sense, but they really have nothing to do with each other. So next up, we have Township of McMurk Monteith support resolution for rest stops. And that was supporting the resolution we had put through.
Yeah, it was a good job, Councillor Blakelock.
Rod's rest stop resolution. That's good.
Try R, if you will.
Okay.
Rod's rest stop resolution, RR.
Oh, yeah. Oh, gotcha.
Township of McMurray-Monteith, termination of the CBO contract. So this is item 25. Let me just make sure that I didn't miss anything here. No. So as folks are aware, Andrew has tendered his resignation as of June 26th. So Dave and I met with Glenn and Terry, the new CAO in McMurrick, just to kind of explain the situation. They were hoping that we could get somebody rehired and they could continue on, but they realized that that's probably not feasible. So the agreement is that the original agreement was it was supposed to be 90 days notice, but they've agreed to the 30 days because as Dave explained, we can't provide the services after June 26th. We won't have somebody hired.
Yeah.
So they're going to they'll likely look at either Huntsville or hiring a contractor to get them through. And they will probably do that for the rest of the year, for the rest of the calendar year. Dave just doesn't feel, even if we were to hire somebody quickly, he doesn't feel we should be taking on McMurrick right now. So we're just going to let them do what they need to do to the end of the year and then maybe revisit it next year. But they were fine with, they understood the situation and there was no point, I guess, pushing back.
There's a resolution for that.
Yes. Okay. Council Township of Armour acknowledges Township of McMurrick-Monteith Resolution number 2026-124 and agrees to the mutual termination of the shared service agreement for chief building official services between Township of Armour and the Township of McMurrick-Monteith with an effective termination date of June 26, 2026, authorizes to complete all necessary administrative actions related thereto. Wendy, seconder, Dorsey. All those in favor? Okay. Yep. Rescheduling of the Tri-Council October meeting. Council of Township of Armour approved the Tri-Subcommittee recommendation to change the regular October Tri-Council meeting from October 26th to October 5th due to the conflict with municipal election voting day. Mover. Sure. Rod.
So I'll second, but would it make more sense to have it take place after the elections?
There's been some resolutions, or not resolutions, but some emails back and forth about that. I saw from, I think Ryerson initiated one.
So it seems,
I pulled the background information in dating back pre-elections prior. It's always been October. So your agreement's written with the tribe that you have a meeting in February and October for the budget considerations, because the budget's not finalized till February anyways. But to put it off into November, we've never done that before for the tribe. So it just makes sense. We'd have to have a good reason why we're changing that with the current council, and we don't have any reasons because the precedent's always been October meetings.
it seems, I mean, nothing's finalized until February, but it just seems like you're discussing a budget with people that might completely disagree with the budget. Yeah.
Yeah, but you're following the agreement.
Okay.
And CTO, there was one of the sessions today, they made the point that they should really change the date of the election, because what happens is you have the election, then the first thing that the new council does is approve a budget.
Yeah.
And then you do your strategy plan. So it should be completely the opposite.
Mhm.
You're doing strat plan, then the budget, and then, the election, and then the strat plan, and then the budget.
Yeah.
So there may be changes coming in the future.
So our next meeting,
Got one in June and one in October, right?
August. Oh, no, I guess the subcommittee recommended the cancellation of the August meeting
right?
and just put it to October
October.
for the,
But we want to change it from the 26th to the 5th, correct?
Yes, that's what the tri-subcommittee recommended originally.
Yeah.
There's been some emails back and forth with one of the clerks inquiring maybe we should wait to November.
Right.
But when I pulled the research of all the previous tri-council minutes and meetings, it's always been October.
So
It's always been that.
will you discuss that with the clerks as well then?
So I did send that to the clerk that was inquiring
Okay.
and CC Dave. And then,
We'll see what happens.
so we already have 2 resolutions approving, if you guys approve tonight, the change to October 5th.
Yeah.
It just makes more sense because you're following the agreement. It's going to be easier to track, especially when you've got the precedence of always having that second meeting in October, or that meeting in October, regardless of the election, to all of a sudden change it to November with no reason.
Yeah.
I mean, it's still going to come up for discussion as one of the agenda items, just stating that it's been changed. If the tri-councils decide that they want to do it in November, then they can take it back to the next council meeting and change it, right?
Okay.
But I think it's good so that we can start planning for that, because it is the budget one, right? You're going to
Yeah.
want to give the tri-services.
Well, yeah, those department heads need to know
Yeah.
when they have to have their budgets ready for sure.
And then November, you're limited because the new council doesn't start till whatever, 16th or whatever the date is.
Well, it can vary too of
Yeah.
they have their first meeting. There's no set date for it, so.
And it's deer season.
Oh, so now we're getting to the.
No,
to the nitty-gritty of
There's
the
always
season.
absence in November. They're there for like the inaugural, like being sworn in, and that's it. Gotta go.
Okay, so we're moving to October 5th for now. We have a mover and a seconder. All those in favor? That's carried. Council Township Armour supports in principle the draft shared services agreements for the Armour Ryerson Burks Falls Memorial Arena and the Triar Landfill and Recycling Center. Staff be directed to include the draft agreements on the agenda for the Tri-Council meeting scheduled for June 22nd, 2026 for final review and consideration by the partner municipalities. Wendy. Seconder.
Sure.
Dorothy. And all those in favor? Question?
No, okay, it was just,
These dates.
Where are we? 27. Okay, item 28, staff report for the revision to the recreation coordinator job description, and there is a resolution for this one. So this report from Dave. Not sure if there's any questions on this one. We'll read the resolution in first. Staff report from the CAO dated June 9th, 2026 regarding revisions to the recreation coordinator position description be received, and the Council Township of Armour approve the revisions to the recreation coordinator position description, directing staff to forward the position description to the employment committee for evaluation. Mover. Wendy. Seconder.
okay.
So are the highlighted sections the changes, I'm assuming?
Yes.
So I'm having a thought. I have a few thoughts on it. But we as a council never voted on Melissa's job. Melissa's job, I know this is Danica's job that we're discussing here. Melissa's job, we agreed in September 1 year, 2 years ago, September 2024, to extend her contract until December. And then at some point, she was hired into a permanent position that was never posted, that was never discussed. It just became permanent. And we figured out it was permanent when John let us know that she was now part of the pension plan. So some of these responsibilities are a result of a position that we, like Melissa's doing a phenomenal job. Please don't get me wrong. But Melissa's job was originally posted as a camp director of some kind for 12 weeks.
But it did come to council to make it permanent though, if I remember.
No, it came to council to extend from September till December to help Danica get everything under control.
Trying to think back, because it must have come, it would have gone to the employment committee and it must have come back for the permanent position.
John announced in a meeting once when we were discussing budget that she was now part of the pension plan. And I was like, how is a contract employee part of the pension plan? And he said she's a permanent employee. And then it was never.
I can't recall, to be honest with
Have to
you.
go back.
I thought I remembered it being permanent, but now that you say it was extended to the end of the year, I'd have to go back and check minutes and
I'd have to double check too. I know that there is positions in the grid that were scored and put in without going to the employment committee.
there was some, yes, because I remember asking John about some that were scored that didn't come through the,
That may have been one of the positions.
so it's possible that was one.
And I'm wondering if this is something, please tell me.
No.
This is a wondering. I'm wondering if this is something that needs to be discussed in closed, or with Dave, and me with like directly perhaps or whatever about some of the responsibilities that are changing and if they're necessary, or.
So you'd like further discussion?
Yes.
Is what I'm
Yes.
getting out of that.
Because part of this is the reporting structure has changed. So Danica's reporting to Dave.
Yes, as opposed to Allison.
Right.
And that changes her
Right.
position, as did her position.
You're saying basically the whole department needs discussion.
Yes. Like Melissa's position, which then puts Danica in a different position,
Right.
which then.
Okay.
I think they're doing a phenomenal job. I think what's happening is phenomenal. I think this needs further discussion.
Well, the one thing that I would like to see, because I think this is the year it's supposed to happen, is the survey where we look at the whole pay grid for the various jobs.
Pay
And
equity.
it's pay equity, but it's also, it's just part of the pay equity in that we look at where our pay scale is, the to and from for all the positions. And at that time, we would look at the recreation and see, based on the job and the job description and the responsibility level, where that position should be paid. It's kind of all part and parcel.
So it fits in with everyone, like other municipalities.
Yeah.
It doesn't get out of whack.
You want to make sure you're not out of whack.
Like
You're too high or too low.
I think about like 250 Clark and what's happening in that building and I wonder how it compares to ours.
Yes, exactly.
And how their compensation is compared.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. So I don't know whether that means I'm assuming the duties and responsibilities that have been changed here are changed to reflect what's happening now, similar to what we had to go through with bylaw.
Absolutely.
So I'm assuming that's why we're looking at this.
I would like to have a conversation with Dave about it.
Yep.
So we can defeat the resolution, we can change the wording of the resolution. Because what this is saying right now is approve the revisions to the recreation coordinator position description and direct staff to forward. Yeah, we could table it.
We could table it. Well, I mean, I don't see a downside to tabling because I'm assuming, because our budget is set for 2026, we're not going to see changes in 2026.
It did reference that somewhere,
It's
actually.
budgeted.
I think it
think
did
it
reference
is.
that it is, yes.
That it's for 2026.
I do believe I read that.
But it may have incorporated overtime, who knows?
Yeah, because I know with bylaw, we ended up
It
saying we
says,
had to wait because till the January. So we could budget accordingly. I don't have a problem deferring if we have questions.
For further discussion.
Yeah.
it says this revision to the RC position description was included in the 2026 budget. It's a financial consideration on this report.
Huh.
Yeah, right. So, well, there's two options. We can table it or we can have it just go to the employment committee.
Let's table it.
I'm okay with tabling them.
Okay. Kind of a mess around. Okay.
Which is good because I'm not here to, like, Dave's not here to answer the questions, but I'm not comfortable in answering
I
them.
think it should be tabled.
Don't want to misrepresent something in
We
them.
could call him.
Well, what do you think, Dave?
Just give her whatever she wants.
Well. I would be the person that would agree to that, but.
Okay, item 29, Charlene can speak to this one. So this is the Bill 97 modernization of MPIPA and of a privacy management program policy.
All right, so this one's big. I sat in a webinar on June 2nd just because I thought, you know what, I haven't sat in on anything to do with MFIPA for quite some time. I know Wendy was, you followed up with it quite a bit. You were on top of that legislation. I let it slide. So I wrote down a summary. That report it's big. So change policies or programs or requirements right now under the freedom of the FIPA aspect of it is for provincial ministries, OPP, whatnot. The big thing that's going to impact us is these privacy impact assessments. So starting January 1st, anything that comes to the municipality or that we have that runs the risk of a privacy breach has to have these assessments completed. So that would be cloud permit, online permit forms, financial software, accounting programs, payroll, recreation registration platforms, tax and utility payment portals, electronic records management, online forms and application systems, work orders, customer service, surveillance cameras, anything to do with AI and chatbot technology, payment processing systems, social media platforms, Facebook, website providers, online services, email systems, communication platforms, anything that collects personal information, user accounts or passwords, online submissions. So on our website, when people fill out a form for a new entrance and they email it, it has all their personal information in there. The recreation programs collecting children's OHIP numbers, right? That sort of thing. So I'm basically providing you a brief update on these upcoming changes to the legislation under Bill 97. So right now I'm getting a lot of emails, petitions from other municipalities saying, hey, they've changed in Bill 97 so that these provincial ministries don't have to release certain information in their offices or exempt from it. But that's I think is what's people are focusing on. They're not focusing on how this is going to impact municipalities. We don't have the resources in this office right now to assess that stuff. How am I or anybody in here going to be able to do an impact assessment on a data breach for a cloud permit, right? I don't know what the impact is. I don't know where that information is stored. I don't know if it's in Canada, if it's stored in China. Our website, we use the credit card payments, right? That plastique. It's American based. So you know that it's not Canadian, it's not being stored in Canada. So the new requirements include a mandatory privacy impact assessment that collects personal information, as well as a new privacy breach reporting obligations to the IPC. So the IPC now will have the authority to issue orders to municipalities. Before it was recommendations, sort of like the ombudsman. Now they can issue the equivalent of like a court order on a municipality of, you shall. Some of these changes come into effect July 1st. So in less than a month, there's going to be some changes. They're extending some things where they're changing it from 30 days or 30 days to 45 business days. And with some of these FOI requests, You can now do a staged report, like staged information release, because you've got so much that you've got to go through, right? The AMO webinar that I sat in actually was being hosted by an organization called Vail. Vail is right now is at the AMCTO conference, and they had a vendors booth set up. So they offer a program to municipalities that will basically handle everything from FOI requests, so freedom of information requests. We don't normally get them because you guys passed that bylaw that authorizes us to release certain information where it's standard. You know, somebody wants information on a building permit application or a building permit from, we just, you know, it's standard. You don't have to do an FOI and go through that process. We'll redact it and send it to you, right? But these they'll handle FOIs and they will do these privacy impact assessments. So when I sat in on this webinar, there was, I think, close to 800 people on it, including, you know, police, hospitals, universities.
It's huge, yeah.
So they're already doing, I think for the most part, but
Yeah, they have to do.
the legislation, they want to make sure that they're caught up with it. So basically, we would be looking at putting anywhere from 6 to 8 new policies in place regarding, and they're saying now that you have to, it's not legislated, but it's highly recommended that municipalities implement a privacy management program to help ensure townships meet the new requirements. So it would include staff training, records management practices, potential software solutions to support privacy and freedom of information. We would have to update our retentions bylaw because it would impact that. We would have to have information put on our website. So, you know, Facebook, somebody posts a comment. Economic development pulls stats from Facebook, right? So you're pulling all that information that's risk of privacy. So all of that has to be documented. I do have something that I've recently put on the website just regarding privacy to deal with, hey, you know, be aware there might be cookies on the website, you know, that stuff's being tracked, that we do have a need to disclose require some information. So there is something that's out there in case the IPC does start looking around. I think that it's good for us to kind of get ahead of it before it gets too far. Now I have reached out to another clerk in the clerks group. Dave and Allison, we're going to go visit Vail at the AMCTO booth to get me.
Actually, Dave and I went, we were there.
Okay, good.
I can't remember the guy's name we met, but his concern was that we're so small compared to the other municipalities. He said, you're better off kind of banding together with a bunch of because this is, so the PIAs and TRAs are a lot of work for, especially for a small municipality. So I'm assuming they're saying we have to go every existing application like cloud permit, we have to go back and do a PIA on each one of them.
I would believe so, that they're going to want something. I don't think it's going to be starting January 1st. They're going to want, I would think that anything that we have that runs a risk of a security breach would have to be assessed, and we'd have to have a record of it. It's not something where it's one and done. It would be something where when we could destroy it when it was replaced or superseded. So if we stop using cloud permit, right? But it's something that does definitely fall under retention. And then
So as far as your policies that you're going to have to implement, AMCTO would probably be a pretty good resource, whether they'll come up with some draft policies for you. But it sounds like the clerks group could work on this collectively so that not everybody's reinventing the wheel.
And if we could get something like a group subscription with Vail,
yeah,
based on subscriptions or the number of, you know, municipalities. Because yeah, you look at something like the city, you know, urban Toronto area versus us, an FOI request. Like I haven't had an FOI request, knock on wood, in what, maybe 3 years.
They haven't given you much time here, have they?
No, and I don't think a lot of municipalities are aware of this because they're too focused on the fact that.
And it was, the legislation was pushed through for other reasons.
Exactly.
Yeah, stuff they want.
And this is sort of caught in that.
Yeah. So I have been working on it, and I'll have more information for you guys. Just a heads up. I think the big thing for you guys would be approving bail if we decide to go that route, and those policies as they come across in your agenda packages.
Yeah. Okay. Good information.
It's a lot.
That's a lot of work. Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, just in time for an election too. Throw that in there.
Yeah. Okay. Any other questions for Shar on this one? Good report, Shar.
Thanks.
Okay, there's no resolution attached to that. It's for information at this point. Anything else we want to tackle? 9 o'clock.
Jerry and Dave, usually it's Wendy. But Jerry and Dave this time. Never Rod nor I.
Oh, right. Just get us way off topic.
What? Huh?
Council of Township of Armour adjourns this regular council meeting at 8:58 p.m. until the next regular council schedule for June 23rd, 2026 with the call of the mayor or the clerk. Dorothy. Secondary. Wendy. All those in favor of leaving? Hit the road.
Track and field tomorrow. Really good.
Thank you, Charlotte. Fine job.
You can have this. Thanks, boss. Good job, Charlotte.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Rod.